Drafting the Magic features the thoughts and opinions expressed by Christian Ilton, Erik Pesolano, and today's guest, and do not in any way reflect the views or opinions of the Walt Disney Company or any of its subsidiaries.
All right, let's keep this train going. I got that last one, won the season. Every other show is meaningless. No, it's not. There's still pride on the line here, and that's the most important thing as we get to our next episode. Kind of a part two here, Christian, after we talked about the Kingdom's queues last week.
Part two of the Walt Disney World queues, and we are going to Epcot and Disney's Hollywood Studios. Both of them have what I would call very famous attractions. Hey everyone, it's Christian from Drafting the Magic coming to you once again to thank you for your support of this podcast. A few episodes ago, we thanked you for helping us hit 4,000 listens to the show, and now we're at over 6,700. This podcast is growing, and it's all thanks to you. Another easy and free way you can help us is by following us on social media, at Drafting the Magic on Instagram and Facebook, and at Drafting Magic on X. Do you follow us yet? Are you sure? Go check. No, seriously, I'll wait. Pause the episode and check. Okay, welcome back. For those of you that followed us already, thank you. And for those of you that just started, get ready for exciting interactive stories and so much more through our socials. Interact with us on social media, answer any poll questions on the shows, and make sure you rate and review the podcast. And if you can, each episode. 5 stars sounds about right, doesn't it? Thank you for the support. It's that kind of support that is going to allow us to keep moving forward into video, moving into making merchandise available, and so much more. All right, enough of this. Back to me trying to get back into that win column. One of them has extremely famous cues, or at least one of them. I don't know. And we'll see which one of us gets those. I get the first pick here, so I'm actually feeling pretty good about this one, but you know, that could put me on the back end of the other park. And so that's my immediate thought was, if I go Hollywood Studios, cool, but then you get the best Epcot choice. Or if I go Epcot, you get the best Hollywood Studios choice. And you took the first pick last time, and you ended up going Magic Kingdom, which clearly won you the episode last time. But I don't know if there is that today. So I'm kind of nervous, but I'm excited.
Yeah, we'll see. Or you could screw both picks up and I get the best one at both parks.
I usually do.
That's what I hope for. And sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah, so. We'll see. We'll see. Here we go. Today, Erik, for round 2 of this attraction queue battle in Central Florida, we are welcoming Michele Schwartz from Michele Visits Mickey is what you can find her as on Instagram, but she does travel advising for exciting stuff. She's a Disney adult travel advisor, which we love. And we're so excited to have finally connected. Michele and us and whatever English grammar it is have been trying to connect for a while. We're so excited, Michele, to have you on the show.
I am so excited. Thank you. I am so excited because you are Disney adults and I'm a Disney adult. So it's the match made in Disney adulthood.
Boom. I love it. Erik, you got the win in the first round of this little two-parter. Yeah. How do you feel coming into the Epcot and Hollywood Studios phase?
Better.
And you got to win.
Yeah, because I didn't think the last episode went all that great, and then you and I were both surprised that I was given the dub. So that boosted my confidence a little bit.
But hey, good on you for it.
the interesting part here is I think there's better options overall.
Absolutely. Well, there's better options at these parks. So yeah.
Right, right. So I think the opportunity to miss a pick is less of a chance than it would have been last episode. Now, this all has to do with personal opinion of the judge. So we really don't know. We just met Michele a few minutes ago. So let's find out. And I know you get to start things, Christian, but yeah, I feel a little better to answer your question in a long-winded sentence.
Well, I'm glad. Drafting the Magic. This is part 2 of our Walt Disney World attraction queues, Epcot and Disney's Hollywood Studios. And the rules are in place, same as the last episode. First time we've done this, but we kind of marketed this as a two-parter, and so we're going to do that. We have to have experienced the attraction queue that we are going into. There were plenty of times where I only experienced the attraction queue because I was shaking at my knees and didn't want to get on the attraction of some of these attractions.
Wow.
But that's not important. And then the other one is that we have to alternate. So if I go Epcot first in round one, then I would have to go Disney Hollywood Studios in round two, back and forth, or vice versa. And same with you. And then that fifth round is a wild card round. You can choose either or your favorite theme park or your favorite attraction queue that's left on the board, because we all love going back and forth on Living with the Land. Anyway, I love the ride. Not much of a queue. Anyway, I don't know if it'll get chosen by Erik, but I'll just tell you right now, I ain't touching it. So I do have the first pick. Before we go that, Michelle, what do you think of that rule that slices it up, makes you think about both parks?
Oh yeah, I'm super relieved because I definitely have a park partiality in this. So I'm glad that you have to switch it up. So it makes it easier for me to judge because I can be more impartial.
Well, and our friend Dustin Geisler will be so thrilled about this when he hears this. The artist formerly known as the Great Movie Ride is not going to be on this list because you
Oh,
took out what mattered. And yes, Minnie, whatever it's called, Runaway Railway, it does have some of that kind of heart to it, but it's not the same as it was. So and I know Erik hasn't experienced it out there yet, so it can't be picked because I won't take it. So we'll just get that right off the bat. I'm gonna go to DHS first. I'm going to Hollywood Studios. And this is gonna get me so much flack on the internet because I feel like there's an obvious choice. I feel like there is a way better choice. And then there's the choice I'm going with. Which is not either of the first two options. The beginning of this queue sucks. It absolutely is terrible. But once you walk behind the giant guitar and you are inside Rock and Roller Coaster starring Aerosmith, I think that the queue really does hold up. First off, you feel like you're walking through that. You have that little like weird rotunda kind of thing where you got the guitar things going on, and then they have the advertisement for whatever isn't doing well, and it's now a video screen so they can just flash whatever's not doing well on that and try to get you to think about it. But then when you see the history of the microphones and the instruments, and then you walk into the room where Aerosmith is telling you, oh my gosh, we have to get to our show, and then you go to the alley. The alley is one of my favorite scenes of any Disney queue, because it really does make you feel like you're in a back alley and getting on this limo. And so that's why Rock and Roller Coaster starring Aerosmith going number one. I know there's at least one attraction that everybody thought was going to go number one. I'll let Erik take it because I think he will. But Michelle, I'm going Rock and Roller Coaster right off the bat.
wow. Bold move.
Bold move. And I even
think,
agree that it was a bold move.
Yeah, I think maybe there's some strategy in that. So I did recently go back through this queue, which is amazing because I hate going upside down, but my son wanted to ride it, so I went with him. And so I am very familiar with the queue, which is good because the ride is closing for 3 months or even longer. So I don't think it's going to come back with Aerosmith.
Oh.
So I'm going with a very bold choice.
We're sitting in that rumor pool, aren't we?
Yeah.
Wish, by the way, that's the thing that's not doing well right now. So they had the advertisements everywhere for it. Anyway,
it starts on Disney Plus this month.
Yep. Oh boy. Anyway, Erik, what do you think of me going Rock and Roller Coaster first? I feel like I changed things up for you. I don't think you thought I was going there, and I like having you on edge, even though you might think it has given you a little bit of a, I don't know, a leg up here.
Yeah, I think it did. I think you changed my strategy a little bit. For me, for the better, because I had a different thing I was going to go with here, but now that you went there, I'm going to change my list up a little bit.
Okay.
You're
going with the Land.
No, I'm going with Soarin'.
Oh,
I'm kidding. No, I'm not. No, I'm not. No, I'm not.
I was like,
That's not going to happen.
bruh.
You want to talk about an alleyway? The no, Rock and Roller Coaster was in my top 5, so I will give you that. I just didn't think it would go this early, which allows me to change things up. So let me go to my top pick now. And I'm going to go to Epcot for reasons. And you know me, I'm all about interactivity. I love when you're in a queue and you get to do something and you keep your hands busy. But not only do you get to keep your hands busy, but whatever creativity you have gets implemented straight into the attraction, which is something that you don't see very often anywhere. So I'm taking Test Track at number 1. And the reason I'm taking Test Track at number 1 mostly has to do with what you did at number 1. And I will explain that in just a little bit. But I'm going to take Test Track for its interactivity. And I wish it was the old Test Track queue, because I think that would have played a lot better. But for the fact that you get to design your own vehicle, and the fact that there's a timer on it, because we can't stand there all day, because we know a lot of people would, to try to craft this thing perfectly. But I will say, as an individual, I have gone on that attraction multiple times just so I can design a different car every single time. And then eventually email it to myself and watch it play over and over again on maybe the worst graphics you've ever seen in your life. But just the fact that you have a hand in it and you can see how your car performs throughout the attraction. I know the attraction itself is not part of what we're drafting here today. We're just talking about the queue. But keeping yourself busy is a huge part of waiting in a long line. So give me Test Track at number 1.
I tell you right now, if it was original Test Track, it might have been my number 1 overall.
Interesting.
But I hate new Test Track. It's just an advertisement for Chevy. And it's not a very good one. So that's all I'm going to say. Michelle, what do you think of Test Track Q coming in? Granted, Erik is playing this now game of I can't go to Hollywood Studios
Right.
next. So we think
Yeah.
we know where he's going in round 2 already. But
we
what do you
think
think
so,
of
yeah.
Test Track?
That's a good one. I mean, I'm gonna be honest here at the outset. Like, I was going through in my head like the number of really good queues at Epcot. So that's definitely got to be one of the top queues at Epcot. But here's my question for you guys. If you go single rider, do you get the full queue experience?
No, you don't.
See, so I mean, I'm always going to go single rider on that attraction because I know how to work my park days. So,
Yep.
but okay. So it is a good queue if you're going full queue.
Yeah. I think that they're going to redo it again. They've already announced that they're going to redo it again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I
Well,
think
they need to redo that whole ride. It needs to be Radiator Springs.
Bring cars to the
It's
East Coast.
not happening, but
Yeah, no, it's not. But interesting thought though. So there we go. That's round 1, Erik. 2, I would say, big shockers coming in round 1. But what do you think so far?
I'm good.
You feel
I'm
good
with where I'm at. Yeah. And my thought process is always full queue experience, just so we're aware. But you still get to design your own car if you go single rider, don't you?
Yeah, I think you do, but I still don't think that experience is worth much, but that's just me.
Well, you also have to keep in mind things that I have and have not experienced.
That's true.
So that's also, I haven't been there in 7 years.
True.
That's a clue.
I definitely think you do get points though for doing something that keeps you involved and not conscious of how long you're waiting, because that attraction does always have a long wait.
Yep.
Yes, it does.
Yep. Good point. All right, so round 2, and I get to go to my favorite theme park of Epcot, and I am going to go, and it is 100% theming here, because there isn't an interactivity that I think they could have added that would have made it better. But when you know you're going to have 1 billion children in line for 3 hours, I think that you had to theme it so that the billions of children wouldn't want to kill their parents over these 3 hours. And once you're in Frozen Ever After's queue, once you're inside, there is theming throughout, whether it's the medal that Kristoff won for the Ice Master General or whatever the heck the title he got in the movie. And, you know, you walk around and you feel like you're in a courtyard in Arendelle. You have Wandering Oak in there, and there's a screen that, you know, projects him. And I think they did a good job knowing, they don't have all the space in the world. They had to work with what they had from Maelstrom. Yeah, they were able to bulldoze a theater and and gut the inside of it and put Q there, but I think they did a very good job of theming for that Q. And I mean, listen, I've been on Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind. The Q's good, but I don't think it's necessarily very well Guardians of the Galaxy themed, if that makes sense. This was Frozen themed. They did a very good job theming the queue, and so that's why I'm taking it as my number one Epcot pick, and it's going to come in at number 2. Michelle, I don't think Eric's been in this queue, or maybe he has. I don't remember. Oh, he has. Okay, I couldn't remember when that ride opened. But
Yeah.
Michelle, what do you think of Frozen Ever After?
Yeah, I agree. That's a great cue. I mean, once you get to it, and we're gonna judge that, not
Mhm.
when you have to wait in China, um, which has happened. But
Literally.
yes, I totally agree. It's kid friendly, which again is very, very important and a very long wait like that. So yeah, and you have to notice the details, which I also like because I'm a sucker for um a detail or finding out the story in the queue. Like that's a big thing for me. So I agree. That
Mhm.
good pick.
Again, they had to keep the kids occupied, and the parents maybe not wanting to go on that attraction. But knowing, like, when we went this past couple of weeks, there were these parents who they were looking at the line and they were like, do we have to wait in this? And they had a 4-year-old daughter. I said, you have to
So
wait
the
in this
answer is
line.
yes, they had
You
to.
have to do it, and the attraction pays off for especially little kids. It's a great payoff. But the queue, you needed to keep them entertained. Eric, so you have been in that queue. What do you think of it?
Yeah, that's fine.
All right then.
But I just think it's early. I think it's early. I think you jumped it a little bit. That's all.
I'm looking at the list of other queues in Epcot, and I don't think it's early. I think,
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe you and I have a better. You and I have different looks at the
Uh,
queues of Epcot.
I'm not saying it's not on my list. I had
Okay.
it in my top 10, which
Okay.
means it would be picked today.
Sure.
I don't know that it would be picked this early.
Okay. All right.
Is all I'm saying.
All right.
I enjoy the queue. It's fine. I don't know. Maybe it's the little part of me who misses Maelstrom still. And yes, I was one of those people who rode Maelstrom every time. So not all the other people who complained that it was going away after they announced it was going away and never actually rode it. I actually rode it.
Yeah. Love
But
Maelstrom.
no, it's a good queue. It's a good queue.
All right.
It would have been picked eventually for
Mhm.
me. Honestly.
Sure. Yeah. And one of us would have
Yeah.
gotten it. And so
Yeah.
you think
It's
it goes you think it goes early, and now in your round 2, you're gonna go something that you think was probably should have been picked earlier.
yeah. Here's the thing. So because I have to go to Hollywood Studios now.
Yes, you do.
I think we know one of the best queues of all time, and it's a newer attraction at Hollywood Studios. But you and I talked about this. This is for full disclosure because you know how I am with integrity on this show. Star Wars Galaxy's Edge exists on both coasts, and Rise of the Resistance is a carbon copy. It is exactly the same. There is nothing different about it from here in Florida. I have not been on it in Florida because I have not been there since it opened. And I think it's an easy cop-out to just take it because, yes, I have seen it all, but I had never stepped foot in the one in Florida.
Mm-hmm.
So for integrity purposes, I'm not going to take Rise.
Wow.
And I think
I wonder where you're gonna go.
Yeah, so I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to touch that or Smuggler's Run. Not that anybody ever would, but I'm just saying.
Yeah. No.
I just want to get that out. There's that. Why? Yes, I have seen the exact duplicate. I have not actually been in the one in Florida, so I will not take that. So let's stop wasting everybody's time and just give me Tower of Terror at number 2, because the theming and waiting in the courtyard and all that is vastly superior to California. It's debatable. I don't think Christian debates it. It's debatable on which attraction is better now, with Guardians compared to Tower. But the original tower in California was vastly inferior to Tower of Terror in Florida. As for the queue itself, again, waiting through the courtyard, going into the lobby, seeing how they almost had to take Haunted Mansion level of care with that lobby, you know, when it comes to cobwebs and what's actually placed there on purpose and what's not. And then going into the library and or whatever you want to call it, into the office, watch the little video there, and then go into the boiler room. Three wildly different experiences, even though some of them are only a short period of time. But some slight differences between Florida and California when they were both tower, right? There was no second level in Florida. That's all ground level in the boiler room, whereas out here you have stairs. So the fact that you don't have to climb stairs in Florida is a plus. Give me that.
1000%.
Yeah. So yeah, I'll take Tower of Terror at number 2. And again, all going back to your first pick, which is why I changed things up.
I figured, and automatically I knew you were getting Tower of Terror when I took Rock and Roller Coaster, and it was something I felt like I could sacrifice. Even though you're right, I mean the theming of that queue is phenomenal, and whether it's a broken fountain, because obviously no one's been using that hotel since 1939, so there is no water in that basin area, and it's cracked up, and and there's signage in the queue for when there's an extended queue, but it says go left for whatever it says on that sign, and then you walk inside. I actually got a really cool lobby tour of the different things that are in there from a guy that Michelle might know, TJ from
I
Tower.
do know TJ.
Yep, I figured you'd know TJ.
Yes, I do.
So he gave us a cool tour. It's just the history in that place is amazing. But I think all of my memories of that queue are crying and saying, "No, Dad, I don't want to go on the ride." And where do I meet my parents? And so I think there is a little bit of some hurt there. It's a little stain that I didn't want to talk about. So, Michelle, what do you think of Tower of Terror?
So full disclosure, I have had a VIP tour of that queue as well. And you alluded, Erik, to it being one of the best queues of all time. That has more hidden objects and more hidden Mickeys, if you will, than any other attraction on the East Coast. I don't know about the West Coast because being the original and all, but so I've seen and heard all the hidden stories. So for me, that is an awesome pick.
Yeah, our Guardians now has a lot of Easter eggs and stuff that I don't even know if you could call it an Easter egg because it's not really hidden. But with all the Marvel artifacts that are put into the queue that they rotate in and out sometimes, depending on what the hot movie or show is at the time. So yeah, we have that too. But yeah, like you said, it doesn't compare to Tower. It's different. They're their own thing. Both great. I think they're both great. But yeah, had to go Tower here.
Oh, it's a good one. It's a good one. I was willing to give it up, but it's a good one. So for my round 3?
Yep.
Round 3. Yes, my round 3. Haha, I can math. Yay!
Yeah.
As we so well documented on the last episode. I got to go to Hollywood Studios. And I'm going to take what I think is my favorite queue Disney has ever done. And it's amazing that they were able to do it because they had already had the attraction open. But then they were like, hey, let's build a whole land behind this thing. Let's build a new entrance on the other side. And let's do the most wild Toy Story, but really you're like the toys of your childhood queue. Give me Toy Story Midway Mania. It is such a great queue with all of the board games, and the Uno cards are the doors, and everything about it. And then the coup de grace is Andy's room. If you get to go into the load-in that is in Andy's room, it's just something else. And I know I didn't have to take this earlier because I know Erik hasn't seen any of this because he hasn't been on the Toy Story Land side. This stuff was not completely done, so you couldn't take the part that I love about it, I guess. And so
right.
that's why I'm going with Toy Story Midway Mania here in round 3. Michelle, what do you think?
Awesome pick. Yes. And I've actually had the queue tour of this one too. It does have a lot of Easter eggs. When you get Humpty Dumpty talking to you, I mean, giving you the tips of the game, like awesome pick. Awesome. And I do stay occupied in that queue, even though there's not an interactive element necessarily, other than, listening to the toys talking. But I love going through and picking out the games, just like you said, the games of my childhood. And you're like, oh, look, there's that. And there's and there's that. And there's the Monopoly board and Chutes and Ladders.
And the really viewfinder discs and everything, like, it's so good. I will say, God bless him for putting Potato Head inside, because the one outside of DCA is just, he needs help, man. So God bless him.
Yeah.
And I can't imagine how he'd weather the elements outside. They've already got Wheezy outside on Slinky Dog Dash, and we'll see what Wheezy looks like in about 10 years. But yeah, I'm going with it. And Eric, I don't know, your thoughts on the Mania that you knew there, or did you never even go on it because we had it in California?
Yeah, first of all, I didn't know you knew French. That's awesome. Good for you. And secondly, yes, I have been on Toy Story Mania in Florida, but you're right, I have not been on it since they added the third track and the other part of that queue. So have not seen that, which technically I would have been eligible to select it. I just wouldn't have been able to describe the new stuff.
Yeah, and the new stuff it's unreal. I mean, it's really that. I mean, all of Toy Story Land, once you finally get to go there, you'll see it. But all of Toy Story Land, the theming is just second to none. It very much had that Bugs Land feel of, boy, they didn't leave a stone unturned here. And, rest in peace, Bugs Land. Despite it being the worst theme or the worst land they've ever created, it was the best themed land they had ever done. So that's all I'll say about Bugs Land. Anyway, Eric, round 3, and you're going to Epcot.
I'm going back to Epcot here, and I think this, will it be a shocking pick? I'm not necessarily sure. We'll find out here. Let's go family friendly like Christian did here. Our queue in California is awful. The queue in Florida is much better, in my opinion.
Of course it is. It's indoors.
Yeah, it's indoors. You feel like you're underwater, which I think is kind of a cool effect. Give me Finding Nemo at number 3 here. The first time I walked in there, I was like, oh, this is kind of awesome, because all of our coral or whatever it is in California is just a couple of rocks sticking out of the ground when you get near the front of the queue. Other than that, it's all poles and chains underneath the monorail. And then, when you get to the loading station, it's like, here, just stand in this. And is the submarine vehicle cooler than the clamshell? Obviously it is. Maybe not so much for me. Maybe not so much for me, because I don't fit in there and I literally have to tilt my head to walk in the submarine. The attraction itself, right? It's the clamshells. It's similar to California, but the queue itself, I think, is kind of cool. Feeling like you're underwater and walking through all the elements of under the sea. So I'm going to take Finding Nemo at number 3 from Epcot.
There you go. It's got to experience it a couple of weeks ago. I love it. I think that they did do a very good job. It just feels very long going back and forth, and you're going uphill, and the way they've kind of themed the whole thing, it's just like, oh, okay, we're almost there. But it's a very well themed queue. Michelle, what do you think?
See, I love that queue, because to me it always goes so fast. So
it is an omnimover.
Love omnimovers.
It's a good queue because it does go really fast. Those clamshells are moving and grooving.
Yes, love that attraction too. What a great little attraction.
We love a people eater, don't we? Efficiency. Let's go.
Especially at Epcot. Yeah.
This past time was one of the first times where the queue extended outside.
Wow.
But it wasn't very unpleasant, because 2 weeks ago, at least, the weather in Florida was beautiful. So I didn't have a problem with it. But I mean, just the artwork on the wall as you're walking in, and then you get that little beach theme, then you're underwater, you can see the boat, and everything else. They did a really good job with that one. Going into round 4, holy smokes, dude.
Yep.
Okay, round 4, and I told myself I wasn't going to do this, but I think it deserves it, even though I know for a fact you haven't been on it, so you haven't experienced this queue. But even the outdoor area of Remy's Ratatouille Adventure
Really?
is so good. Again, Michelle, I could wait on it because I knew Erik hadn't been on it. And granted, I could wait longer if I wanted to, but it deserves better than that. The whole area that they built for the Ratatouille area is phenomenal. You walk inside, you got Cousteau, such great theming all the way inside and out. Even that like little drawing area that has that video kind of telling you what's about to happen all the way around. Remy's Ratatouille Adventure, the queue at least, amazing. The attraction, we'll talk about that on another show. But the queue, absolutely phenomenal.
Well, first, Erik, we need to get you over to the east side, apparently, the East Coast, without much more delay, because this also means you haven't been on the other great ride, not talking queue, but attraction.
Yep.
But yeah, I think Remy is actually the best queue at Epcot, even more so even than the other attraction that we're talking about. And the thing that I do like about this one is even if you have the Lightning Lane entrance, they still have a modified but well done queue for you, which is not always the case when you're doing a Lightning Lane there. So I think that's an awesome pick.
I will take it. Erik, I mean, you can see videos, but you
Yeah.
got to go experience it. And I will say, yeah, shoot, I'll say it. The ride was not worth what we did to get on that ride. Waking up at dark 30 and and making sure and by the way, we had a rental car, so we can't park at Boardwalk, so we had to hoof it from the entrance of Epcot.
Okay, so I do have a hack for that. So you can still do International Gateway for that. But yeah.
But regardless, it wasn't worth what we had to do for it, the ride itself. The queue though was phenomenal. The ride's okay, but anyway.
All right, round 4, pick 4. Running out of options over at Hollywood Studios, but I got to go there, right?
Yeah, you
So
do.
Oh, you're running out of options.
I'm running out of options.
There are still some good options there.
Yeah. Yes, me as an individual.
Yes.
Running out of options.
Yes, that's the crux of this show, by the way, is how much Erik hasn't done.
Yeah. And somehow I'm making it work.
Yep.
All right. I've narrowed it down to 2 attractions that I am eligible to select, and that's not including Galaxy's Edge. I've removed Galaxy's Edge because I've not stepped foot in the Florida one, as I said earlier. So that leads me to nostalgia and leads me to my sentimental pick. And Christian knows exactly where I'm going with this and where I have to go with this.
It's a good pick too, though. It's a good pick.
It's not a bad queue. It's a lot better than out here.
Yep.
Which is where I got my Disney feet wet and the first attraction I ever worked at. So I'll take Star Tours at number 4. There's an ad out there for crying out loud. And look, I know we have them now in Rise, but I mean that was the first.
Those are not as good as the one that's outside of that Star Tours.
But I was gonna say that one was their first, and it probably moves more than the new ones too, because it's just the guns that move on the one in the attraction.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, and it has a mister on it, so that's cool. But yeah, give me Star Tours at number 4. I won't go too deep into it. It is what it is. So I'll leave that to Michelle to describe.
Okay, so first of all, you worked at that attraction
In California,
because I did test and adjust for the original one in Disney Hollywood Studios. So definitely a romantic, like my heart flutters a little at that one.
And I did work the original. I did not work Adventures Continue. So I was on the original one.
Same.
Yep.
I don't even like it anymore with Adventures Continue. But that attraction has a C3PO in it. Like Definitely, I mean, the queue has C3PO.
Right.
Like, I mean, it's just definitely not where I thought you were going to go. But I'm so glad somebody picked this one, even though, again, nostalgia, it's not, I mean, it's not one of the newer, flashier queues, but again, it has C3PO. And I think I do love the boarding and the big screen, and
Mhm.
it tells you, when your flight is boarding. I think it's a great queue.
Yes, it's
And
well themed. Well,
yeah,
it's with it being basically a tour bus, right?
yeah,
But in space, that all those elements and the safety spiel and it's
it's
like you're in an
great.
airport, literally in an
It's
airport.
great. It is. It's great.
It is good. I'm gonna be honest. I'm looking at my list. I didn't even have it on here because I forgot about it. So that's why it's not on there. It's not
As
because I
so
don't
many
like it.
people forget about the attraction.
Well,
So,
here's my thing. Move it, or move Muppets and just make an entire Star Wars area.
right?
Like,
Yeah,
like
for sure.
freaking Muppets, man. Like
Yeah.
it's just in the wrong place. But I mean, it's the same thing here at Disneyland. I'm like, why is Star Tours still in Tomorrowland? Like,
Yep.
they've it again. IP's got to go where IP's going to go. And yeah, did they have to take out Lights, Motors, Action? No. Did they have to take out Studio Backlot? No, but they did anyway, and it pissed me off.
Oh,
I know.
don't
See,
talk to
I
me
just
about
yep,
studio
yep.
backlot.
I don't know if that's a
Oh,
good way or a bad way, but
no. Devastation
yep.
still.
It's still I'm
Devastation.
still
Mhm.
not over it. Um, but there's never been a conversation as to which queue is better, California's or Florida's. It's always been Florida's. And whether it's the at whether it's the just the indoor forest that you're walking through, it's so cool. And
It is. It's
here
great.
we don't have that. And here we have the remains of a former attraction that I think they did the best that they could, but it doesn't have that Star Wars feel like the one in Florida does. So
But you get to go through airport security in the extended queue, Christian.
Yes, who could forget? Oh boy. But I think they did a good job in Florida's, and it's always one I remember telling my friends when I would go to school, you got to go to Disney World Star Tours because you don't even know what this one like you don't even know. It's so cool. So that's a good one. I forgot about that one. And that's a good round 4 pick. Now we move into round 5, the final round, where I can go wherever I want, and I am going to take what I am automatically thinking everyone's going to hate me on for it. I genuinely think that Michelle's not going to like it. I think Eric's not going to like it. I
Okay,
think
wait a minute though. If you don't think anybody's gonna like it, why would you take it?
because it's my favorite, and that's all I care about.
All right.
I'm not playing for strategy. I'm playing for me. Um, but I think the theming is so well done. Living with the Land has got no, I'm kidding. Um,
I was like, he's not
Nice.
serious.
Nice.
oh
Nice.
my gosh, can you imagine? Um, I would also love for Spaceship Earth to have a better queue. Like, oh my gosh,
Yeah. Yeah.
I would
If
love
you
for that to have
Does
a
it
queue.
have a queue? Really,
Yeah,
though?
it's
It's
called
more like a line.
it's
It just
called
has a
the
line.
it's
got
called
a
the
ramp in
area.
it.
It's called the area they totally thought was just going to be a walkway, but turned into the queue of the attraction. Um, I am going to go to Epcot though. Um, and while the Guardians of the Galaxy attraction does have a nice queue, I think Guardians of the Galaxy in California perfected a Guardians of the Galaxy theme. I don't think it has the best theme in Florida. But if you want a space theme, go to Mission Space and sit in the I mean, you can literally see a central control for a space station. I think that when you walk through Mission Space, which yes, everybody has their own opinions on Mission Space and what it does to your stomach and what it does to your brain and everything else that it messes up. I think the queue when you see the astronaut like, not costumes, but like the uniforms, when you see that big tumbling thing. They've got space stuff above you. Then you walk past that control room. I think that is such a underrated queue. Speaking of underrated and overrated, we'll talk a little bit about that with Michelle later. I think that is an underrated queue at Epcot. And so I'm going Mission Space. Uh, I'm going to be honest, Three Caballeros was close, but it's not really because that queue is terrible. Um, but you're in Mexico. So is it better? Oh, I don't know. I'm going Mission Space. Eric, before we go to Michelle, what do you think of that queue? Because there's a nostalgia to it. I remember watching Disney Channel and learning about that queue.
Of what's remaining, you're fine.
Okay, I'll take it.
Because I don't know what Guardians looks like. So
Fair enough.
I can't speak on that. From what I know is left, I think you're fine.
All right, Michelle doesn't think so though. She's shaking her head. So Michelle, go for
No,
it.
so first of all, you said I was going to hate it, and I don't hate it.
Hey, I'll take that
And
you don't hate it.
I don't hate it, and I agree it is a good queue, but I will never be able to go in that building and not think about the queue for Horizons. And
Ah, there you go.
I
I
mean,
never got to go on Horizons.
so that queue was amazing. You could smell the orange groves.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not that you're not wrong. It's just, it's like a
So-
mental block for me that
so
I have
you're-
to get over.
You're saying I should get on Soren and smell Horizons queue. Got it.
Yes, you should. That is the only reason. Or you can buy the candle.
I
Like,
can buy
there
the
you
candle.
go.
Yep.
Yeah.
As
buy the
someone who
candle.
worked soaring over California here in California, I may or may not have gotten a gift of something that I can smell whenever I want. But
There you go.
I'll just leave that right there on the table. But again, I think it's an underrated queue, and I think when you remember your experience of Mission Space, it's not the queue. It's maybe spinning in that little gift shop on the exit or whatever, trying to figure out your life. But I think the queue is a good one. So I'm glad you don't hate it, because I thought you were going to hate it and that everyone was going to laugh at me for it, but at least one person isn't. So speaking to the fact that Eric hasn't seen Guardians, I don't think Guardians is that great of a queue. I think it's interesting, but I don't think the queue is anything besides that. The queue part of it, that the space thing on the ceiling moving, beyond that, I don't know. It's just a place to put people.
So yeah, the first time I went through it, I definitely was intrigued because I don't know the story of Guardians of the Galaxy as well as most people who are going to be on that attraction.
Mm-hmm.
So I was grateful for it. But by the second time I went through it, I was like, yeah,
The
okay.
ride is the show. The ride is the show. And I
Right.
would say even when you're in the load area, that's great. But all of the before that, I'm
Yeah,
not.
the pre-show's good.
Mm-hmm. But like
But
all of the before the pre-show, I'm like, I don't need it. I mean, it's just a room that they need to pack people in,
and that's what it is.
and that's what it is. So that's why.
Yeah.
Sorry, Disney haters. Guardians didn't make the list. Back off. Eric, round 5.
Pickings are slim, my friend.
They are slim.
Oh my God, no, they're not.
For Eric, they are.
Okay.
Well,
Well,
he already took Ratatouille, and I can't take Guardians.
Mm-hmm.
I think those are
but
the
you
only
don't have
two.
to stay at Epcot.
Well, that's true. That's a good point. But I still don't have a lot over there.
I know. I think I know what she's thinking, and it absolutely almost made my list. And I'm 100% sure you've never done it there. So,
Oh, I have.
oh, that queue up for the China show is just begging at you, isn't it?
I know. Or in Canada. Yeah.
I actually, full disclosure, I had that on my list. It's very low down, but with the
Yeah.
waterfall and the beautiful like setting of that, technically that's the queue. So it wouldn't be the wildest, but I'm very curious.
No, but I've never been in there, so it doesn't
Oh.
matter. That's why I can't take it. All
Okay,
right.
I can think of one that you could take.
Let's see if
I'm
you
not
can-
going to tell you, obviously.
Right. Yeah. No, that's not the point of this. Let's see. Oh God, I've narrowed it down to 2 in my mind. Oh, I have a prop, but it's off. I can't reach it. All right. All right, here we go. After all that time of deliberation and me taking the longest to make a pick, that's probably not going to matter anyway. I'll take Figment. Give me Journey into the Imagination.
Ah, there you go. Your
Yeah.
buddy, your favorite.
My buddy. That's all I can do. I think
Do
that's
you
the best
see
I
what
can
my
do.
nails are right now?
Holy
Oh.
smoke, she's got Figment nails.
I do have Figment nails. I'm getting ready to go to Festival of the Arts. You gotta have Figment
Yes.
nails.
That's so good. Oh my gosh, Figment, it's a great attraction. There's the popcorn bucket that Eric brought for all of our audio listeners. Y'all are just doing a bunch of props that nobody's going to be able to see. But
Video podcast coming to you soon.
yeah, we're working on it. We'll get there. But
I'll
I
post them
think
on my Instagram.
the beginning of the queue of Figment is very good. Then it kind of tails off. But that's a good one. Michelle, what do you think of Journey into Imagination with Figment's queue? Not the ride, because everybody knows the better ride was back in the. I never even got to go on it, but I know that I haven't.
But-
won
Yeah,
the
the
good.
better. Yes, it was definitely the better ride, but also
Yeah.
I think the better queue.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
But I mean, Eric admitted there was slim pickings, so
Yeah,
I can't fault him.
there you
Not
go.
much I can do there.
Yeah.
What were you thinking was the one then?
Yeah, what did we miss on this list before
Okay.
Eric even reads them down?
Okay. Oh. Okay. I still think Guardians of the Galaxy is probably
Okay.
one of the better ones at Epcot. But I mean, as a former movie writer, I can't believe I'm about to say this. My friends, please don't at me.
No.
I do like the queue for Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway. It's got lots of Easter eggs. I like the little posters along the way. I love the pre-show. I'm a fan of the queue.
Wow.
I
Had
know.
had I stepped foot in that one, I would have taken it. I
Yeah.
haven't done
Yeah,
it yet.
I
I've done it.
know.
I've done it here, obviously, but yeah.
And nobody took Rise. And I get why Kevin was being,
That's wonderful.
he took the rules. But yeah, I mean,
Well,
Rise is still on the board.
I will say, so if you think about what they market the attraction as, the queue only goes up to when you see BB-8. Then you are in the attraction of. So if you're talking about that, you're just in a bunch of trees and rocks and sticks. I don't know.
Well,
And there's a waterfall.
Don't they have some of the uniforms though, and some of the like tools? And
Oh yeah, yeah, they
I'll
do
be
have all of
honest,
that.
I've
That's a good
only
point.
ever been through that queue once because I always buy my access to that ride,
Yeah.
and then you
Yeah.
don't see that.
Mhm.
But yeah, I thought the only time I've ever been through it that they had some really cool.
No, you're right. They do.
memorabilia.
I forgot about that portion of it. I don't know. I just when I think of the Rise experience, I think of once you're on that transport, and in my mind, technically, that's not part of the queue. Technically, you are in the
That's fair.
immersion experience. I don't know.
That's
But
fair.
does that mean that you're not in a ride in the boiler room in Tower of Terror for me? No, I think you're still in the queue for that. It's kind of a
Yeah.
weird thing.
But I mean, that's fair. I mean, if we are talking about how Disney ranks that ride time and they are calling that that part of the attraction,
Mhm.
like they say it's a 20-minute ride experience. So they are counting that for
Yeah,
sure.
they ain't talking about just when you're in the vehicle.
Right.
So
Yeah.
I that was actually kind of my thinking of why I didn't choose it. Was just that kind of thought. Regardless, I think we had a good draft. I don't like Mickey and Minnie's compared to the one here. The one here is the greatest themed Disney
I haven't been
thing.
out there
Oh,
yet.
you got to you'll never make a good comment
I
about
can't wait.
Florida's ever
I
again.
can't wait.
Except for the fact that the good comment is this used to be where the great movie ride was, and it should still be there. At me.
Yeah, okay.
Anyway.
Now that I can't I mean, updated, yes. Needed some new movies.
Mhm.
Like definitely my 23-year-old was like, what is Tarzan? Which
Oh,
okay. I know. Casablanca, same way.
yep.
Like, I agree, like, but I do like the new ride, that being said. Again, I'm gonna get horrible hate mail from people. Please don't. I love you all, movie writers. I do.
There we go. All right, Eric, are you ready to run down the lists and we'll see
Sure.
who won this episode?
All right, here we go. Christian had the first pick today. He went Rock and Roller Coaster at number 1, Frozen Ever After at number 2, Toy Story Mania, then Remy's Ratatouille Adventure, and Mission Space wrapped up his top 5 picks. I went to Epcot first, took Test Track, then Tower of Terror, Finding Nemo, Star Tours, The Adventures Continue, and Journey into Imagination. Michelle, I will toss it over to you. Who won this episode of Drafting the Magic?
But actually, before she even says that, I think it's actually a pretty good 2 lists. Like, there's some good cues on this list. Anyway.
All right.
There are some good cues. And Eric, you actually got one of my favorite all-time cues. But your streak is ending. I think Christian won that one.
There we go. There we go.
It was Toy Story and what was the other one?
Remy's.
And so, but I agree with Eric's Tower of Terror. Like, that is just the best cue ever.
Yep.
All right. Top Heavy didn't help me this time out.
Yeah.
So we split our attraction cues, which means we're just gonna have to do another episode, Christian.
I guess so.
Nothing is settled. Yeah.
best bathroom cues in Walt Disney World.
Bathroom cues.
There is an Instagram like of best bathrooms. So
don't worry.
It's a thing.
It's been discussed for a topic on this show, and we will get there at some point.
I'm really glad that was not the episode I had to judge because I would not know.
Yeah.
I have no idea where best bathrooms.
I do know Christian and I are going to have to wait to do the bathroom episode until we're like 50 or something like that, because then we will have a lot more options to choose.
Oh my gosh. Well, Michelle, bathroom talk aside, it has been fantastic having you on this show. Before you head out, also, by the way, thanks for the W. Before you head out, tell everybody where they can find you, what you've got going on right now, and how you can help them enjoy Disney too.
Oh, you guys, thank you so much for this. Honestly, I talk back at you. You don't know, obviously, because you're not hearing me talk back at you on the podcast. But anytime I talk back and argue with podcasters, I know they're awesome. So this has just been such a thrill for me. And you can find me at Michelle Visits Mickey on Instagram. And that's Michelle with 1 L. That always trips people up.
No, that's, you know what's funny? Not sorry to interrupt. That's how my mom spells her first name. So when I saw that, I was like, this is going to go well, even though you didn't give me the win.
Sorry.
It's fine. You get points in other categories.
Thank you for that. And she lives in Texas. So there we go. I have a Facebook group called Making Memories Insiders. So you're welcome to join that. And I can be found at Making with no G Memories Travel. Okay, so you picked Journey to Imagination. Do you know where that comes from, Eric? Making Memories?
The Memory Maker. The Memory Maker.
No.
It's earlier than
the
that.
very first exit show at Journey to Imagination was sponsored by Kodak, and that's where the brothers. Anyway, that was where the song "Making Memories" was played at that attraction. So it's an homage to Epcot, Making Memories Travel, and it's .co, not .com.
Well, there you go. That's where to find her. Michelle, this has been fantastic. I know we're actually going to get to jump over to your side of the area, so we'll have to tell all of our followers to go find us over there. We're going to have some fun conversation about some overrated or underrated attractions. I'm excited for that too, but we'll tell all of our followers where to find that. But honestly, it's been fun. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Michelle.
Thank God. After losing the last episode, I couldn't lose this one too, and I felt like I was going to lose this one as soon as I let you have Tower of Terror. Literally, as soon as I let you have it, I started regretting it.
We got late. I had Journey. I thought, like, all right, that's it. Then she showed me the fingernails, and then I was like, okay, maybe I got a shot here. And then I didn't. I was let down, and you're back on the dub side.
Doesn't really matter. I mean, it's just all consolation bracket at this point. But
Hey,
and
hey, for the all-time standings, it
for the
matters though.
all-time it
We're
does,
still pretty close.
and I've got some work to do. So regardless, I think one that I was kind of hinting at that I didn't take, and I don't know if it counts as a cue or if it's more of a pre-show, but the Muppet Vision 3D kind of area that you're the holding area that you have there is
Mhm.
great. It's great for what the Muppets is, and that's one where I was like, I don't know if you've seen it out there, but
I have, and actually, when I said I narrowed it down to two, it was between Journey and
mm,
Muppets.
I like
Yep.
Muppets. I like Muppets a lot.
Yeah.
Um,
You know what? You know what my biggest gripe with Muppets is they should have moved Statler and Waldorf to the pre-show or the queue.
oh, absolutely.
That would have taken it over the top, and that would have changed my decision.
I do love where they are though. So
Yeah, I do too.
so
I'm
we'll
glad they're in there, right? That they're not just missing from the whole show.
yeah, we'll allow it. But other than that, I mean, I was looking at my list, and like I said, I had the Canada Pavilion on there, and like living with the land, or oh man, isn't that walkway to the old Circle of Life show? I don't even know what it is in there now.
Oh yeah, the conservation, whatever.
Yeah, whatever we're saving, which I mean needs to be saved.
And
I'm not saying
I
it
mean,
doesn't, but
we made fun of Soren earlier, I think, and yeah, it's just a hallway, right? It doesn't have anywhere near the theming we have here in California. Not that
but
there's a ton there either,
it's interactive though.
but it's interactive. Exactly. Yeah, there's the trivia game in there that you can play. So I mean, you think about that, and yeah, that raises its likability a little bit, but just not good enough to make the show today.
Not good enough to make the show today, but what was good enough was my list, and I am happy about it. Got the W, and we are back on a roll here. I say that it's been one. This might be one of the first 1-1s we had this year. I think it is. This is
Yeah,
the first back-to-back. Like, look at us, we're back.
nobody's on a streak. Yeah, we're
Nobody's on a
alternating.
streak. We're just gonna
Yeah.
alternate for the rest of the season. Regardless, good to be back to drafting the Magic. This part two, like you mentioned it, we split this thing, which means we have to do a third.
Maybe we do we do pre-shows? Do we do loading zones? We talked about that.
Or do we just do one big episode to finish them all? Not of all the episodes, but of the queues. Do we put all 4 theme parks into the box? And we'll think about it. We'll talk with some people. We'll talk with our all of our social media team and everything else that's going on.
And our consultants.
Yeah. Speaking of the social media team, make sure you go out and follow Drafting the Magic on social media. Participate in all the games and the questions of the day and the this or that's and everything else. Comment on every single thing that we do, even if it's just I like this. Helps us out a lot, and it helps grow Drafting the Magic. We want this to be bigger for y'all. We want it to be bigger for us. We want to have a good time with it.
When do you think people catch on to us that the this or that segment is us just digging for responses?
Listen,
I'm just kidding.
I think we got a couple of days before they figure that out. Anyway, how do I get out of here? Okay. Oh boy. That being said, follow the gram. I think we might start delving into the TikTok world soon. I'm not 100% sure. I'm nervous.
Video's where it's at, pal.
I know, but
I'm gonna have to start taking a shower before I do this show.
Oh gosh. Oh boy. Anyway, thanks for joining us for Drafting the Magic, and I go for 2 in a row, trying to get back to the all-time score. I can't beat Erik in the season, but trying to go back for the all-time score.
Here's to hoping he doesn't.